What's up, everybody? Circus here, coming at you with the ban list. What we demand happens in the game, or we're out. Video.
I need this Megalith nerf right now. That deck's too unbeatable.
Yeah, so I got Ryan here because he's got some very strong feelings like I do about this meta, and damn, does it need to be fixed right now. Don't you agree, Ryan?
For anyone that didn't pick that up on that was sarcasm.
Oh, yes.
No, we've talked about it a bunch. And even with the introduction of Gaia, especially with the introduction of Gaia, I think this is a beautiful metagame that we're in right now.
Definitely,
it's
definitely
very balanced. The only thing that was kind of annoying were like stall decks with hand traps. And Gaia has graced us with his presence and said, you know what? How about I take care of those decks for you?
Right. I
So
can
it's just
swing
another
in and shut them
giant
off.
circle. Yeah. So I don't know. It's one of those it's one of those meta games that is super, super balanced and fun at the same time. That does come at the cost of none of the decks being like, super big brain to play. I will admit that.
Right.
But I do feel like it just feels like every week there's a new power ranking winner. Every tournament, it just really feels like I have no clue who's going to win.
Yeah, who's going to win? Who's going to be top
Rogue
8?
decks are winning. Like, what more can you ask for, man?
Like,
no
I think
oppressive decks.
Like TGs, I think we're supposed to be one of the first decks to do this, right? But it just didn't work at the time because the other decks around. But even they're having a little bit more success now.
Yeah, they're actually winning. They've won a tournament, I believe, a couple tournaments now, 2 or 3.
I don't want to say that.
I don't want to say
were they the first deck to come out with a skill like that recently? I think pretty close, right? Because we got basically TGs. What else do we got?
With the flight control thing?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Yeah, where it has a very
for the
specific
most
skill.
part, the whole flight control, and then auto play got changed into it, and then Demon's Resonance, and
Now we got Gaia. So there's all these decks, and then Harpies. It doesn't have that, but yet it kind of dovetails real nice into the meta because it's not super overpowered. And if it did have its own consistency skill, maybe then it'd be a little gross. But just
it really isn't that bad.
Yeah,
it is now.
All right.
So instead of a this is what we want to see fixed.
This has to happen
in the game. We decided to pretty much run down through all the meta decks and just kind of bring up what could happen if they go onto the ban list. I think that's a more fair way of doing things. There's no real thing that makes me sit here and say this is what I want to happen. It's more of a logically this is probably what's going to happen so Konami can make that money. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's more realistic of what we might see. Taking things like just taking Konami patterns into effect, kind of going over the decks. I will say there's only one thing that I do want changed.
What's that?
That is the interaction of Destiny Draw and Battle in Box Reveal. Destiny Draw should only trigger when you're 2,000 below. If you go above 2,000, so you go to 2,000, then you Battle in Box Reveal.
Well, your life points need to be at that level, right? Not if you lose 2,000, they have to be at that level.
I think it's an oversight by Konami, and I think it's time to fix it.
Right.
Whoops. But everything else, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, I think that's obviously just more cancer than anything because it just makes it hard to play through certain decks because it's like, well, I could try to kill them, but if I don't, they're going to get exactly what they need to kill me. So
pretty much.
Yeah, that's not fair. All right, let's start taking a look at the meta. I feel like a lot of the decks that we're going to be discussing are so new, it'd be a shame to do anything to them. But number one deck this past week in tournaments, folks, was Resonators.
Resonators, yes, this deck is really, really new. The only so Konami kind of has a hierarchy of how they nerf decks, and one of the first things that happens to a deck is it loses its limit too. Right? That's like the a lot of people meme and say True Nade and TTH sell decks. It kind of feels like they do.
Well, if you can run them, you should be.
Absolutely, and so obviously one of the very first things that they could do is make them lose True Nade and TTH. So best ways to do that is put a card that they are pretty much guaranteed to use at 2.
Like
and looking at this deck, there is a ton that could happen.
I was going to say maybe one of the tuners, right? Like the Resonators themselves.
Yeah, I do think Crimson Resonator's too new to be hit on the ban list, even though it is an SR. But Red Resonator is old.
Yeah.
and you play that at 2. You pretty much have to play that at 2. Otherwise, you got a really bad chokehold there. Also, there's the Wild Wind. Wild Wind is a
card trader, tickets or whatever.
Yeah, card trader. So even if he's a UR, he can also be hit. So there's potential there. of course, there's like the some people say, oh well, the Solemn Scolding should get hit. You know what I mean? But I feel like that might be a little bit of a lower hit because they don't need that card necessarily.
I was gonna say most decks moved away from it. That was the original build, but now it's just kind of
pretty much. And then I feel so realistically, I feel like they're either the Red Resonator or the Wild Wind is going to be like the most likelihood if they wanted to get rid of the limit 2s,
which would just mean they're going to start playing something else instead of Tretch, which isn't a big deal because like Tretch isn't a huge part of that strategy, right? I mean, you could throw just about anything in there, throw some flip downs in, just a negate, anything, and you'd be fine.
Pretty much. The only other thing that they might change is the skill itself. The skill is very powerful. I would not be surprised if they made you, whatever card you reveal, actually have to be the card you send away, instead of right now where it's like any card you want, you can send away.
Yeah.
That's the only other change I can realistically think. I think the deck's way too new for any other severe.
And it's not gross.
Or limit 3.
It's not gross. That's the thing. In the past,
it gasses out most of the time.
Right.
So those are, if there's going to be changes, it's going to be something like that.
Now, I believe Automats was in second place this week. Automats, I think they're in a good spot, right? I mean, they already got their limit 2 hit. They're not super overpowered, and they have the thing that they can do, and if you know how to disrupt it, you're fine. You know.
So again, in the hierarchy of Konami nerfing stuff, the next step, if people continue to abuse your limit 2s and stuff. If you remember how Black Wings used to play double TTH, then they played a single TTH, and then they had to keep nerfing them. So another limit 2 would pretty much shut them down from ever playing True Nade or the TTH. So something like hitting the extra deck might happen.
Is there something in there that could
hey, listen, Malevolent Sin. That card's an SR. It hits lots of different decks. It would be a massive hit if that card went to 2, and Automats are not going to drop that card.
Well, that would hit a lot of other decks, though, too. That's the problem.
That would hit a bunch of other decks, which might be what they want to do at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean,
they could also turn around and say, yo, Gaga head. You need Gaga head. That's an SR, baby. Sister and head to 2, you're not going to drop them. You're going to be playing TTH, or you're not going to be playing TTH and True Nade.
Yeah, but, I mean, you almost want to be able to have 2 Sister in the deck, so that almost might be too harsh, right?
Well, a lot of people drop, like, 1 Sister.
Yeah, we see 1 and 1,
but they can search it with the auto play. So
I want to say the last power rankings, the number 1 deck for Automats that won the tournament did run 2 Sisters. So we were wondering, are they kind of flexing between the 2, or what's the ultimate future of the deck going to be? I almost think that'd be too much if you put something alongside Sister like that.
Oh, it'd be far too much. I don't think it should get nerfed at all.
Yeah.
But if they do want to nerf it further, that is the next step that Konami would take.
Yeah. Okay. Next deck. I think you already did it with Destiny Draw, but it was Fire Kings. Just
I think Fire Kings literally just fix the Destiny Draw issue pretty much. I also do think that if they did want to nerf, because that deck is literally just hand traps. Everything else is irrelevant. It's way too slow to ever work. It's just the hand traps make it, work.
You're able to disrupt them. You're like, yes, I got them out of the loop. Now I'm going to attack into like 4 hand traps.
Yeah,
man,
we could see a Battle and Boxer Veil nerf to 2 instead of 3, which would be more devastating for them to use it.
Because Kiteroid's there, and then.
But I really do think the reason Veil is so broken is because of that D-Draw interaction. I think if you fix the D-Draw interaction, people would just start playing Kiteroid instead because it would just be better.
Right.
So there you go.
I'm trying to think of what's next. I know Harpies is on the list, but what was before Harpies? Let's do Harpies while I think of the other. Harpies was number 5. Yeah.
Harpies, so again, they don't have a limit 2, so you could go into limit 2, but it's kind of weird. They have like a lot of options that they can do to limit Harpies. The most basic one would be to hit one of their SRs, the channel or the perfume or the whatever, but I feel like that is just that's like hitting the core concept of Harpies, and you don't even have to do that. You could very easily go for a Harpies Feather Rest and put that as a limit 2, and then follow up with like an Elegant Egotist limit 2. Have to play both of those cards. Bam, you lose your limit 2s.
Right.
You could even, if you don't want to go as hard on Harpies and let them use 1 TTH instead of 2 TTH, because we know they can just switch to Karma Cut. It's not like this is going to be like a massive hit. They could just do the limit 2 on the Harpies Feather Rest, which is a free card, and then boom, you can keep 1 TTH. If you want to do that.
Right.
They could go super douchebag mode and say, hey, that Swallow's Nest came out when Purgatrio came out.
Oh, no, don't do it. Don't do it. But you can get away with 2 of those. You can definitely get away
with 2 of those, yeah. And you definitely play 2 of those. So
Yeah.
Harpies is more flexible with what they could hit if they were going to hit something.
Again, I don't think any of these need it. The deck I missed, I was incorrect. Third place was Cyber Dragons. So a Cyber Dragons, Fire Kings, Harpies. Cyber Dragons, we did a whole video on this actually.
Murder Cyber Dragon. Do not keep that deck alive because it will never get support as long as it's playing 4 monsters and cyber style.
Right.
There is just a weird interaction there that needs to get rid of. I love the deck Cyber Dragon. I don't like how it is in Duel Links because it's super cheesy. I would love to see some actual Cyber Dragon support cards come to Duel Links. They can never come because cyber style is too good. You know, it's not even. I don't even think Cyber Dragon is that good in the tournament scene. It's okay. It's about as good as everything else.
It's a good
maybe
best
slightly
of one.
weaker.
Well, it won 3 tournaments last week while you were gone. It won 3 tournaments in a row.
Yeah, I was there for one of them. Remember? We
were
like, why does Cyber Dragon keep winning? What's going on? Before Casey Cup, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. But I don't think that's gonna I think that's more of a
fluke or whatever.
Once in a blue moon, it'll happen. And we didn't have as many tournaments during that time as well. So I don't think it's a deck that you're constantly thinking of when you're talking about the meta game. Well, and I really do think, but I'd still like to nerf it just so we can actually get some Cyber Dragon support. But we can never do it because that skill is so crazy. That skill is insane. That skill gives you 2 to 3 cards for doing nothing.
Exactly. You're taking a hit, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much like all the newer decks. There's probably a lot of stuff that people have on the wish list. Like Yusenju's, I think would get hit by Destiny Drugs. We've seen them doing
Thunder Dragons, like
Thunder
the
Dragons
deck in the meta game.
They're not really relevant in tournaments. On ladder, they're super relevant, but like in tournaments, I don't think they barely scored any points. Blue Eyes, I think, is in a good spot, right? That was the big hit off
Hot
the
take,
last one.
you can unnerf Blue Eyes and it's not even that bad. Dark Lords were the problem.
Yeah, they didn't. I'm looking at the power rankings right now. They didn't score any points last week. So in tournaments, they didn't even get a top 8.
I would say maybe Blue Eyes doesn't deserve its limit 2. Give it back Melody, and then let's do something about the limit 2, and then we'll go from there. I don't think Blue Eyes deserve to just flat out die just because it was in a shitty meta game with Dark Lords.
Right.
We can blame Dark Lords on that one. So,
some other people were saying, what about Witchcrafters and these older decks? I'm like, I really don't think like Shiranui, Witchcrafters, these decks that are kind of emerging right now. They're finding places in the game. I think most of them are just fine. Just let them come back. I don't think there's like an older deck.
Yeah, I think we could do. I mean, if you want, that might be like a pretty good. Hey guys, let us know in the comments. Would you like us to do a ban list, unban list prediction? What cards would be okay to bring back? Because I think there's a lot of things that could honestly come back.
Well, I'm just looking at the
full power. And
power rankings. Just people that got top 8s here: Element Sabers, Fish Deck, Maikashi, Weather Painters, Blackwings, Triamids, Luna Lights. These are all older decks that did decent in tournaments because of the current meta game. I don't think any of them that, if they are limited in any way, need to be limited or boosted. I think they're just kind of, there's room for them now. There isn't like that super oppressive deck.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Like for example, 6 Samurai being at full power would be. It would actually be good in this metagame. It wouldn't have been good in the previous metagames, but it would actually be a good deck. So.
Yeah, overall, like we said, I hope they don't do. They're gonna do something, right? They're going to
do something to sell money. They want to sell packs. That's all it comes down to.
Right.
It sucks because this is a good metagame, and I want to at least let it go on for another. I want it to go through KCGT. I would love to play this metagame through KCGT. Yeah. But I understand Konami does want to make money. So if you own one of these decks, the cards that we mentioned, those are the ones that have the highest possibility of getting hit from the current meta decks. And the only thing that might get hit that's not meta is something like Thunder Dragons, just because it's been around forever. Yeah. And they'll finally be like, okay, it's time to get rid of Thunder Dragons, which again, don't do that.
Yeah, I think
it's not even that great in tournament play.
The oldest one again is TGs, but I don't think they're going to hit that because I don't think that's probably selling. Or maybe they could because, probably not. But I think otherwise Harpies would be the oldest one. And that it doesn't even feel like it's that old of a deck. It's like 2 months old,
Yeah.
You think there's still plenty of people buying into that, so.
We'll see. Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. All right, guys. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Would you do anything to this meta? Now, a lot of people are just going to say a deck needs a nerf because they lost to it on the ladder. But overall, try to look at the overall meta game. In general, it's a healthy state. So if there's something you think we missed, let us know in the comments below. Maybe we can make another video off of that. So we're going to get out of here, but you should get in the Discord because it's free. The tournaments are free. The new player help is free. Rye coming back is free. Free Rye.
It's true.
All
Nerf
right.
Megaliths, they're too strong.
And that too. All right. I'm Circus. That's Rye.
Farewell.
And we'll see you next time.